Okay, first one I'm going with the Princess Bride. There's been very few movies that were made that have been perfect. To me, this is just the perfect film in every way. Like, just everything came together beautifully. There's no criticism on it whatsoever. Um, this one actually made me want to get involved in film in the first place, and I actually got to work on the second one. Ooh, this counts as one. Sweet. And also, funny fact, I was actually named after Mark Hamill. They've tried to tell me that's not the case, but I'm like, no, I remember what you told me years ago. So I'm just gonna go with that because a story is better than truth sometimes. Hello, I am Mark Meahger, director, writer, and producer, and you are watching the Film Stock Podcast.
The movie is better than the musical, in my opinion.
I would go with that, which is rare though, But then again, the director knew obviously, okay, we have a camera, we have multiple takes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this a bit differently to more incorporate, the actual medium that it is. I think it was McClure. He's like a I think he's like a film historian, or I forgot his exact thing.
What's his name?
Jeff McLaurin, I want to say his name is. I'm probably getting it wrong, but his quote was, "The medium is the message."
Okay.
So therefore, whatever medium you are, you're presenting your story in, you have to adapt it to that medium.
Sure.
For example, the producers, right?
Yeah.
Won more Tonys than anything else, right?
Yep.
The original movie in the 70s, so well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. The remake that they did, not so well, because they had the same director who did the Broadway show do the movie.
Mel Brooks, right?
No, it was not Mel Brooks actually, who directed the. They had I forgot who the director was, but they didn't really translate it to theater at all.
Mm.
So what did you think from theater at all?
Yeah, what did you think of Sweeney Todd then, if you don't mind me asking? Did you end up seeing it? Have you seen the Broadway play?
I did see it, and I haven't seen the Broadway play of it, but I did enjoy it. But then again, I'm not basing it off of the Broadway play, so
you enjoyed it just as a film.
Yes.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I'm sure if I saw the play, I'd have way more opinions on it.
Well, the reason I asked is because a lot of what you've already brought up in regards to film is its own medium, and Broadway is its own medium. I think that Sweeney Todd did a nice balancing act where those songs again were meant to be projected to the back.
Yes.
But I don't know if it was purely the instinct of the actors or if it was Tim Burton's direction, but those songs actually translated to the quiet intimacy of film in a very, very nice way. So okay. I would recommend giving the play, the actual Broadway musical, a gander. You can find it on YouTube.
Right.
It's loud, it's operatic, and I think that the movie did a good job at stripping it down and making it a very intimate story.
You had me at loud and operatic, as you said. Although I think we can all agree, though, at least it's way better than the Cats version of it.
Yeah, I haven't seen Cats. I've listened to Cats. I don't like Cats. I don't like the animal. I don't like the play. It just didn't do it for me.
I'll say this: there's no world in which Cats can be a grounded and reality story. Just, dude, it's Cats. All right, it's based off of Andrew Lloyd Webber, writing essentially a Broadway musical about a book of poems about cats by T.S. Eliot.
Is that really the background?
Yes,
they're
all mystical cats. Just don't try to make it grounded in reality. Just go with it, okay? Lose yourself in the absurdity of the whole thing.
Sure.
And you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's when they try to make, and also they try to give that a plot.
Mm-hmm.
Cats, the show, has no plot.
Again, I haven't seen it, so I have to take your word on that.
Well, it's more like a review than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Fantasia,
sure.
in a way. But I mean, I don't know. I just think if they had just gone with that idea of just what, let's not try to give this thing with no plot. and let's just lose ourselves like in the valley of it all.
Mm,
Would have been fine.
sure. Now, speaking about losing yourself, I thought it was very interesting some of your picks that you got here.
Oh, thank you.
They're all very good fantasy movies. But there was something in particular I want to address. So you picked Hocus Pocus as one of your movies that would be on your desert island picks.
Yeah, I did.
And I think there was something interesting you said there in regards to when you watched it, you were fascinated that a movie could be made in Massachusetts. Now, a little bit of background on this podcast, because you and I
Mhm.
haven't really had a chance to talk all that much since, what's it called? Summerdance
Yep.
2024, which was a celebration, in my opinion, of New England filmmakers,
Mhm.
kind of at the grassroots level.
Yep.
So you work in the industry, and I guess what I'm trying to get at is, what do you think about the current state of movie making as it relates to here in New England?
There's definitely a lull right now, but I think it's starting to pick back up, and I think the main reason because like I don't think any of the big films wanted to be in the middle of making something and then it gets shut down for whatever reason. But
And when you're saying that, you're referring to probably the looming IATSE strike that was kind of in the air for a while as they were negotiating their contract.
yeah, like that, and like yeah, like that, and like Teamsters. I mean, a lot of the labor unions that are involved in film were like were the negotiating for like better contracts and better deals, which I'm fully in support of it. Like I'm glad that most people got the deals that they wanted, and I think now that that's settled, you'll start to see a lot of things start to come back here a lot.
Mm.
But it was definitely a very boring summer, if you will.
Yeah, I can second that, to say the least.
Yes.
But it's interesting that you say that, oh, something can be made in Massachusetts. I went to college for
Hmm.
filmmaking. I do air quotes because really I feel like I learned more about the history and the theory behind like editing and whatnot.
Where'd you go?
I went to the University of Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
How about you?
I went to Emerson.
Fuck yeah. You got a leg up on me. You probably had more hands-on experience with
Well,
actually making a film then.
well, I was a journalism major, so it was more focusing on like story that had nothing to do like with film
Mm.
by any chance. But it did help me out at that point because like I really did have to focus on like writing a story and making sure that the human element was always there in the story.
Mm.
That being said, though, yeah, I was dragged on student films a few times to help out some friends.
Now you say dragged as if that's a bad thing. Did you not
Well,
have a good experience doing that?
one didn't tell me until I got there.
Okay. And what would you be doing on those film sets?
uh,
Was there anything that you were involved in that kind of piqued your interest? I mean, obviously you've made your directorial debut with
mhm.
Take Two, so you clearly had an interest in the film medium. I mean, did anything on those sets spark any kind of a
um,
creative instinct, or like when did that come about for you?
um, truthfully, that's the interest to always like write stories was always there.
Hmm.
Like like I've wanted to like write ever since I was a little kid, and I thought like journalism would be a safe medium to get a job in. Spoiler alert, it's not. Um,
No, it's not.
and to be and I like actually want to be a producer and like a writer for a while, and that's pretty much is that. I never even thought about directing, never thought I could do it, and the thought never occurred to me to direct until Anthony and Becca asked me to join them in doing this. And after the story was written, I just kind of said, you know what, I know what I want to do in this, and I think just being on set for like many hours, I got to watch like what to do and what not to do,
Mm.
and that was pretty much the and I guess I never really had a story that I thought like what, I know a way to tell this and I want to try to do it my way. And thankfully like Becca and Anthony, well, like I shouldn't say my way, it was like we are a like like we are a team. Like it was the way that like we wanted it done, except like they also had to focus on acting for their scene. So I thought, then I'll just try focusing on the other end of the camera.
Hmm.
But no, that was my but no my first no I never really thought about it growing up, and I just thought, what, let me give this a shot, because maybe I can tell this story better than someone who's just like coming in cold.
So, just to give context to everything you're saying, again, you're talking about your directorial effort, Take Two.
Yes.
And okay, so Becca was one of the actors in it, and so is Anthony.
Hmm.
But Anthony also served as producer, correct?
Well, both Becca, Anthony, and myself, we're all like we're all EPs in the show, and we're all writers on the show.
And had you worked with any of them before? How do you know them?
Well, Anthony, I knew from like various film projects, like various like like union film jobs, going back to like 2019, and like 2018. I want to say Becca I met when she was background on the first season of Kevin, and we needed someone on the COVID department, which I was running at the time.
Hmm.
So she actually said, I actually appealed to Anthony, like, hey, can are you guys hiring for this? And Anthony pretty much was just like, well, yeah, I think we are. So ended up
Everybody
working.
was hiring at that point. We all had these new COVID teams that we needed to get staffed. It was like the big thankless job on the industry, but at the same time, it kept us all working. No.
It was, but I've learned that I mean, it's I'll put it like this. I'm glad that there's not a COVID department anymore, and
I
I
agree.
said that having ran three COVID teams, and during that period.
Now, I mean, you just kind of covered a lot there, and I want to kind of break that down. So you went to Emerson for journalism,
Hmm.
and then are you right into the industry? Was like COVID your first gig,
Oh
or
no! Oh no! No! I graduated college in 2007. Then like spent like a year in Boston working for a small production company called Hobnox as their office PA, and then after the company had to fold, I thought, this film production thing's kind of fun. Let me try doing this. And my buddy happened to be living in LA at the time, so packed up a few suitcases in a car and drove out to LA and lived there for about 4 years.
did you like LA?
I did enjoy LA, but that I mean, there's a lot of good things I'll say about it.
Are you a New Englander at heart?
Uh, I would say, yeah. I mean, that actually comes out like a bit later, but for the first couple of years, it was definitely nice. The whole no snow thing, and actually joined the army in 2011.
Okay.
So went and did that active duty. Then 4 years later, end up moving back to LA for about a year, and then I was looking at grad school for various things. My two choices were either actually going back to Emerson or going to Pepperdine. And
Where's Pepperdine? I don't think I've ever
Pepperdine
heard of
is in
that.
the cliffs of Malibu. It
Okay.
is a gorgeous campus, and I remember just walking around like this campus, like it was like early February, about 78 degrees, just gorgeous day.
Calling your name.
And I just thought, what though, this isn't home,
Yeah,
and I hadn't been home in about 8 or 9 years, so I thought, what, I think it's time.
sure.
So
And when you were in LA before you joined the army, I mean, were
mhm.
you working as a production assistant? Were you working in any like how is it going out there?
Production assistant, yeah, it was. Probably did every single PA job that you can that you can imagine out in LA, and I ended up doing like a few things for where I get paid in experience, if you will.
Yeah, we've all
Um,
been there.
yes, we have, and I will say though, it like a few like I did learn like a few good lessons on that, and
Ooh, I love learning lessons. What'd you learn?
I'd say probably the most important one is that it's not is that there is like a there is like a like political element to filmmaking, and like, I don't mean like, Republicans and like Democrats, mind you, but there's a certain way to like conduct yourself and present yourself in order to get your next job. And pretty much just, like, you're only as good as your last day. So, so if you think that like you're entitled to a job on a certain project, then you're not gonna get it.
Mm.
Because there's about like 20 people that'll like easily take that job like once you leave it.
Mm. And they'll probably do it for half of what you were getting for it, just to
uh
get their foot in the door, so to speak.
yeah, a lot of people will do that to get their like foot in the door. I mean, it is very much a like a like cutthroaty industry out there. And also, I never understood the term fake nice until I moved to LA.
Mm.
Which, I mean, like no one is going to be mean to your face directly out there. They're going to be nice to everyone, because they thought, well, if this person makes it, they might remember me and say, hey, I got something for you.
Sure. Do you find that to be the case here in New England?
No, they
This
will.
whole fake nice idea?
I don't think we know how to be fake nice. I mean, maybe.
I agree.
I mean, I think like we'll avoid telling a person directly, and we'll maybe not say it like outright, but like like I have very few people that have been like have been that sort of like fakish nicest to me. I mean, for the most part, if a person doesn't like me, I I think I know.
I like to say this to people. I've worked with some people from LA who are like
Mhm.
new to, kind of working on the East Coast, especially
Mhm.
up here in like Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire.
Yep.
And what I always like to say is, you know where you stand with people here.
Mhm.
It's very much like you said. They might not outright say like, I don't really like you, or you need to pick up the pace or
Mhm.
whatever, but you know where you stand with people.
Oh yeah, like one of my favorite tactics is just if a person does not talk to you, that's their way of saying that they don't like you.
Or that they don't know you enough to trust. How do you phrase it? It's like, I've worked with some grips who electricians. It's not that they
Mhm.
don't they don't not like me, but like, we've not interacted in a way that they feel like they need to say anything until like, I work in the locations department, so it's like, if
Mm.
I can get them staging closer to set, or if I can
Yeah.
find them that extra power outlet that they didn't know existed, or whatever it might
Yeah.
be, or if I can get them in to load in their equipment a half hour early and make their day a little bit easier, it's like, okay, then you've got a talking point now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, it's like something with that, but but I mean, like, but that's also like an element of professionalism on like your part. I mean, let's face it, like like grips and electric and camera, they have a lot of gear to unload.
Oh yeah.
So like the closer that you can get them, I'm sure the happier that like they are. And and the, like myself, the medic, like it's like, hey, like you're like 2 blocks down the street. It's like, well, I understand why, because
Hmm.
it's like like other stuff has a lot more valuable and more expensive equipment than what I have to deal with.
Yeah, but also I always try and be nice to the set medics and get them as close as possible. I
Hmm.
remember there was this one shoot we were doing. It was for a TV show called Nosferatu, and we were filming it in the winter, and we were filming it on like this rural property, and like the house in the middle of this field was the set. And I would always make a point to, okay, like, if the medic's got a car, I'm going to find a secret place that it can be out of frame and close, because I want them to be happy. I want them to be warm.
Mm.
Because then, if anything, on a special effects heavy show, God forbid anything happens, I want the medic as close as possible. So after LA,
Hmm.
you joined the army.
Yeah.
During the army, I mean, were you doing anything journalism related? If you don't mind me asking.
I mean, someone asked me to like help write for like a blog forum, just like various like just like various like various stories and that kind of thing. But aside from that, I mean, not really. A friend of mine from LA did send me a like a script when I was in like medic training. So I thought that was a little cool. The fact that it was like, why are you getting sent a script? I'm like,
Physical copy?
yeah, like a physical script. And like the way that they like read the mail off, of course, was like you're on formation, and like the in the like like the medic cadre just like mail for you, and they make you open it up right there, make sure it's not anything like that you're not supposed to have.
Sure.
So lo and behold, for the most part, it's all harmless stuff. It's like, hey, grandma sent me like, cookies,
Yeah.
or like, oh, hey, like, cupcakes, that kind of thing. My buddy sent me a screenplay for something, for like a story that like, he had like, gotten the rights to.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, and I was like a little curious about it. I was like, oh, cool, thank you. And I was like, where did you get that? I'm like, my buddy sends me. He wanted me to like, like read it and tell my thoughts on it. Like, really? I'm like, yes. You do you think I was lying to you when I told you what I did before I joined this? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
don't get me wrong. I didn't tell people like, yeah, Warner Brothers having this huge deal, but I said no. Like, I didn't say any of that. I was just like, no. I was like a like
I was
struggling
in the film
PA.
industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I told the truth. Like, I was like a struggling PA slash like promotional marketer slash like Uber driver slash whatever other odd job I could find in LA just to like live out there.
Yeah, cost of living out in LA is a bit pricey, huh?
I mean, it wasn't so much the cost of living. It was like the obviously like the film work wasn't as like consistent as I would have wanted it to be. Um, but so obviously it's like well like I'm working like like 1 or 2 days a week on this thing, but still need to make some more money.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm sure, like most, although that's one thing though I've always found interesting what odd jobs like aspiring actors or, producers or directors have done in their day. Like, I know like Brad Pitt used to, be in a chicken costume passing out like coupons for some chicken restaurant.
Mm.
Obviously, I think the famous one was like, Harrison Ford was a like, carpenter.
Mm.
And I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe like this, but he didn't know everything about carpentry. So what he would do is he would just like go to the library, get a book on what he was doing, and he'd be on the roof reading the book. Like, okay, next step. Like,
I don't know if that's true, but I mean, it's the age old saying, you got to fake it till you make it.
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I mean, but it sounds like it would be true. But I also don't want to like spread false information about people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because that's not cool either. So if I am like, proven wrong, I'm sorry.
Call us out in the comments.
Yes, feel free to call me out. If I'm wrong on that, then you can say, hey, you're wrong. And I'll say,
Yeah.
I know.
Well, so going back to you then, so you get out of the army, you go back to LA for a little bit, and then you decide to move back to, are you from Mass or are you from Rhode Island?
I'm from Mass, actually. Cape Cod, born and raised.
Okay. So you move back to Massachusetts, and what's your path? I mean, you set medic is your background, or well, you told me that you've been a set medic. So do you immediately get back in as a medic?
Actually, no. I after like grad school, and I did do like 2 random production stints. Then one was like helping out like a buddy who was doing an interview for Mike Schmidt. So I got to go to Mike Schmidt's place for about like 2 days, which you know greatest third baseman who ever lived. Which in baseball, it's very hard to pinpoint one person and say you're the best at this position ever, and he's it.
Okay.
And the second one was like I think it was like the history of cars or like the cars that made America. And I was like a random like like I walked in as a random PA. Then they said, well, we need a key PA for it. So then they're asking everyone, hey, how much experience do you have in the industry? And I was like, well, this much. It goes, all right, you're the he goes, all right, like you're the key PA. I went, cool. And then thought, what's a key PA?
Yeah. Fake it till you make it.
That's kind of what I did. Yeah. No, but after like grad school, I was like I couldn't really get a job in like that field either. So then I got a interview to be the accounting clerk on SMILF.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then on SMILF, I was talking to the medic and the production manager. And I asked them like, hey, what do you need like qualification wise to be a like, medic on film sets? And they told me, and I said, well, definitely have the experience on that. And then, then the UPM, kind of said, okay, came to accounting next week and said, I'm going to be the on-set medic for reshoots. To which the key accountant just went, all right, I guess you're going to be on set as the, like, like as a medic, like.
Yeah.
And, and I definitely got very lucky from that point forward, because like I did that one day. Then with about a week left in SMILF, I got a overhired job working on Little Women for about 8 weeks. Then that immediately went to Knives Out.
All set medic.
No, sorry. These are all like construction medic jobs.
Yep.
Then like Defending Jacob, I was like mostly construction, but sometimes set.
Get Out. You were on Defending Jacob?
Yeah.
I was an ALM on Defending Jacob.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. We probably crossed paths at some point during that.
Definitely did.
Oh, that's crazy. That was a good job.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed that, because I mean that was definitely, I mean like the like courtroom that they made was gorgeous, wasn't it?
Well, the courtroom that they made, correct me if I'm wrong, to my understanding, didn't they go to Salem for the actual courthouse, or did they constructed a courthouse on the stage?
They built the inside of the courthouse on the stage.
All right, so the exterior must have, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
No, but my first actual on-set job was with Coda, actually.
Yep.
And I thoroughly did enjoy that for many reasons. And it's, I mean, like obviously, like like if you're working on a movie, you really don't know how good it is, like gonna be.
You're never gonna know. It being there near the camera. You're like, this sounds cool, but it could all be made or broken in the edit.
Yes, but that was the first time where everyone on set was just like, this is special. Like we all knew, like, this is something great. And sure enough, we were all right.
Yeah.
I mean, best a picture winner. So
now, was Coda just the working title? Because didn't it go on to be something else though?
No, it's still Coda.
It was Coda. Yeah. That was about the deaf gentleman, right?
About the deaf family, and the daughter could sing.
Yes.
Yeah, and Coda's like child of deaf adult.
Gotcha.
No, but I just remember being like, this is a really good movie. And
I would imagine as you're going from production to production, are you flexing? Like, do you write? Are you flexing like that creative muscle, or are you just kind of absorbing everything?
Like I was more absorbing everything. I mean, these were all like like medic jobs that I'm like talking about, and it was just more or less like just like watching, like how people do things and what to do and what like not to do. I will say, like, watching Shawn Hader direct Coda was like a masterclass in directing in a way, because I mean, like, she knew exactly what she wanted to do, and it was just like, this is what I want. And and I think like in a weird way, like if you're directing, then you kind of have to have that swagger of just like, I know exactly what I want to see. And I mean, granted, yes, I mean, if people have ideas and they're like better than yours, by all means, but ultimately it's your decision, right or wrong, and just make the call and move on.
Fincher has this great quote. He was saying something to the effect of like, nobody wants a director who's going to be like, I don't know, what do you guys want to do next? They want somebody who's going to say, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, and this is going to be right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, of course, like, like it also depends on, like what you're making, like with like Take Two, like, for example, I mean, obviously, like, we had written the like script originally, but but we also told all of the actors, like, if you think of something better, just do it. Like, don't ask permission. With Take Two, it was like more or less like we knew that there was room to improv, and I did speak to every actor about what they want to do in their various like various like characters, because I wanted them to all have fun playing that role. And I think for the most part they got the essence of who they wanted to portray, or like how they wanted to do it. And if they change the line or change how they delivered it, I just figure, you know what, like they're in the character, they're in the zone. Let's see what happens.
I think for context, if you don't mind backing up for anybody that's, listening to this, watching this,
Mm.
what is Take Two? We've alluded to
Uh,
it a number of times so far throughout the interview, but maybe you can fill everybody in.
All right. Take Two is a mockumentary comedy TV series about a aspiring actress and the ups and downs and, let's just say, eccentric people that you meet in the film world.
And Becca and Anthony came up with the idea and approached you about it. Is that correct?
Yes. I was at like a very low point in terms of everything going on, and to be honest, I didn't think I was helpful to anyone doing anything.
Hmm.
And
Why
they.
is that? What do you mean?
I won't get too much into it, but it was just not a very good time for me in terms of producing my own things.
Hmm.
Um, and thankfully, they said, well, I mean, we still think that you can help contribute on things. So they had the idea, and I've always loved mockumentaries, and I actually and so then made the so then we made the story, and we're able to film that in about like a light 2 days.
That was it.
Yep.
You guys filmed for 2 days? You got a
2
lot
days.
covered in just a couple of days.
Yeah, we did. I mean, it's definitely helpful when you don't have that many sets to worry about.
Sure.
And it also helps when the actors know that they can go off on a tangent,
Hmm.
and it's just, what, let them go. Let's see what happens.
Sure.
And for half of it, it really was like, I don't want to cut now because one of them might say something ridiculous.
I mean, I think so. We got to talk a little bit about this at Summerdance because I got to interview you, but it wasn't, this kind of a intimate, personal setting. But I gotta compliment you, man. I mean, the talent that's in Take Two, they have a very good natural chemistry. I mean, they're clearly just talented individuals, but then you kind of put them all in the mix together, and you had some pretty potent chemistry going on there.
Well, I mean, that was, those definitely have the plan with it, because the thing about Becca is that she is very very skilled, very trained, and very talented in what she does. So the hard part was getting the acting talent around her, where it's she could bounce off of them as well, and where every actor knew what they wanted to do with it.
And what was the casting process like? I mean, are those all people that you've met on sets? Did you go through a proper casting channel?
No, actually, the person who was gonna play the director and the actress originally had to due to scheduling, couldn't do it. So then I thought, okay, then Becca said that she knew Zach, who's in New York, who ended up playing the director. So I was like, okay, just have to rewrite a little bit. After I talked to him for about 3 minutes, I was like, yeah, okay, he knows exactly how he wants to do this. Love it. And for then Haley, of course, playing the star. I saw her audition for a few things, and I just thought that she plays a really good villain.
Okay.
And
now Haley, you're gonna have to forgive me.
Oh, sorry.
Haley is the actor that Becca is acting off of during the audition.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, truthfully, I think that she's immensely talented, but then again, so is Becca. So I think that's why that also worked, is because both of them, know how to hold their characters and hold a facial expression, and just so well. And I've and I'll admit, watching them go back and forth on various takes, I was like, yep, this is exactly what I was hoping to get out of it. And then of course Rosario just I funny thing, I was gonna play that part originally, believe it or not.
Were you?
Yeah, but then two things came into play. One, I cannot act.
I don't believe that.
Well, okay, fine. Anytime driving past a cop and he doesn't pull me over, I act like I'm not surprised.
Sure.
That's a Mitch Hedberg joke, by the way, for those who are listening.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, but like, so then I thought, wait a minute, Rosario's available, and he's way better at this acting thing than I am. So I, kind of briefly talked to him about it a little bit, and I forgot the joke that was made about it, but I just kind of thought to myself, like, how funny would it be, since you're produced, like a like producer on this, like you're just doing like you're just doing fake blow the entire time.
Yeah.
And he just thought, he was like, yes,
Yep.
I love that. And it, um which, by the way, that which that was also, kind of like, kind of the like joke in it a little bit, where like, they were watching the Cat Williams stand up, where he said, like, the thing about, like, LA is that they'll do their drugs right in front of you.
Okay.
I was at a fantasy baseball draft in like 2008, when some dude just, this, like, takes out a bag of the table and starts doing lines
Yeah.
talking about, well, the pitcher he's going to draft.
Yep.
I'm like, this doesn't seem right. Like, something's not. Wait, what? What are you doing?
Yeah. So you kind of drew that as inspiration for Roe?
A little bit. I kind of like, back in my mind's like, I'm gonna use that one day.
Yeah.
I think he definitely, like, had a lot of fun with it, but he's also very, very good, which is what made it work.
He's immensely talented, and Roe's just kind of one of those people that he's meant to have the camera on him. Put the camera on him, and he's gonna just kind of create something out of nothing. And it's awesome to watch.
And I mean, he definitely is, but I'm still just in awe of the fact that, like, all these talented like, actors and actresses were able to just, kind of come together and, like, blend fast.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't expecting them to, become a unit as fast as they did, but
they all just kind of clicked immediately.
It was I was kind of in awe in a little bit, but I also didn't want to say anything at the time, because, like, well, we still got, about 8 pages of shoot, so I'm not gonna, comment them all too much.
So if you don't mind me asking, like, the mockumentary format is interesting, and I'm trying to put this together in my head. Like, you have 2 days, you kind of have it sounds like you have a script, but the actors are bringing a lot more to it than might have already been there. So there are 2 components to this whole thing, right? There's the interview aspect, and then there's what you capture through, like, the documentary footage. Which comes first? Do you film the scene as is and then get interviews based on what happened, or are you filming them simultaneously, or one after the other?
Generally, we'll film the scene first, and then we'll have the, like, sit downs later. And hopefully, and obviously, like, just in case, like, like, we think of something else that might be said, or something that they might do, but yeah, generally it's like, it's like the scenes first, and then they'll do the, like, the video confessionals is the exact name for it, which I was kind of surprised to learn that.
That's actually the name of it.
That's the name of it. Video,
like, across the industry. So, like, you watch The Office or Parks and Rec, and it's the video confessional. That's what you're filming.
Apparently, that is what it's called. But then again, if I'm wrong, then, comments.
Call it out in the comments.
Feel free to light me up. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
I feel like I should know that, but I didn't. So I'm learning something new here too.
Well, I mean, like, it sounds like it shouldn't be right?
But there's also a part of it where I'm like, that does sound like it's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds so much more professional than, like, when you say, oh, the interview section, the video confessionals. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you go about talking with, like, your cinematographer? Who was your cinematographer on this?
Oh, he was Eric. I'm gonna mess up his last name, but Eric.
Look to the we'll caption it here. This is the moment. Eric, so what's your conversation with him? I mean, does he have a natural sense for what you're looking for?
Originally the plan was I was just gonna, like, have someone with an iPhone, just, it's kind of doing it that way, but he obviously, like, he and Becca, like, knew each other from, I guess they went to college together. So, I like, spoke to him for about like, 10 or 15 minutes one night, and I was like, actually, he makes a lot of very good points on this. So,
What were some of the points he was making? I'm
uh,
guessing they were against using an iPhone.
well, it was a little bit, and it mainly had to do with like, editing and things of that nature, and this like, getting a better picture.
Hmm.
So, and he was right on that.
What'd you guys end up shooting on?
I don't know what he used exactly, but I do know that he did get like the whole like mockumentary like swing camera type thing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
he nailed it. He found those moments quite nicely.
yes, he did. Which I mean, like I think like once he kind of like told himself like not every shot is going to be like gorgeous.
Hmm.
He's like because like I'm pretty sure that that's what he told himself. Because obviously it's like like if you're a like DP, of course, like you pride yourself in making gorgeous shots, right?
Mm. But the mockumentary form is a little bit different, though.
Yeah,
It's not supposed to be this staged kind of picturesque thing, which isn't to discount anything you did. I think that the film actually looks really nice,
oh, yeah.
but you want a sense of realism to it, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I'd say like I'd say it's like the drummer equivalent of like of like Phil Rudd from AC/DC,
Hmm.
where it's like a lot of people will say he's one of the best drummers who ever lived, right?
Hmm.
Listen to those songs, he just keeps perfect time.
Mm.
That was Eric's like job in this is just like make sure that whatever is said is captured, and he did that beautifully.
Mm.
And and there's definitely a few shots he managed to get, which I was did not expect him to fully get all of it, but he did. And you know it couldn't it I was very lucky that he was next to me the entire time.
Were you rolling multiple cameras, or was it just the one?
Just the one.
Just the one. Wow. How
Yeah.
long were your well, two questions. A, with the improv aspect to it,
Mm.
how long are your takes? And then B, would you find yourself doing multiple takes where it's like, oh, they just built something in there that I wasn't expecting. Let's go back and iron that out.
There were multiple takes for a few of them, and for the most part, whenever there was like a sort of like a lull in the conversation, I would cut. But I also didn't want to sometimes because I wanted to see like where they were going with it
Mm.
or like what might happen. But yeah, I can't really think of any examples at the moment. But no, I guess I just didn't want to cut anybody off if
Mm.
they were like about to say something, like something hysterical.
Sure. So then you film this over a couple of days. You've
Hmm.
got all your footage. I mean, what's the editing process like? I mean, when I think about what you're describing, it sounds to me like it's a nightmare because there's so much happening with the improv and then kind of the mockumentary style of, the roving camera. How do you find the story in the edit? Or was it
Well,
a lot simpler than maybe I'm making it out to be?
we had a very good script supervisor. Her name is Jackie, and that was actually her first time ever on a film set.
Mm.
And I just kind of said, you know what, just I'll tell you what to write down in terms of like of like keep this shot, or like I like this take, I don't like that take. And our editor was he got those notes, and he also understood the story of what I want it to be, and just sort of like deliver on that.
Mm.
So I mean like once again just just I guess the trick is get people who are more talented than you, and just get out of their way.
Mm. Now, is this your first time working through post production? I mean, everything that we've kind of discussed so far leads me to believe that you might not have been in the editing process. Do you have any history with editing, or was this
Nope,
kind of a
not at
first
all.
time thing?
I mean, granted, I've had to like edit some like some like student journalism projects and things like that, but not like this. And it's I think I'm pretty sure I told Gabby Rosin a few times, like I don't know what I'm doing. This is horrible. What am I thinking? And she was like, "Yeah, that's part of the deal." I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah, I mean, I've been in that position a few times, and it's like even if you've done 5 or 6 short films, it's like you still find yourself in the edit going, "What the fuck am I doing here?
Pretty much.
What are we doing, man? What have we created?"
Pretty much. All I kept thinking of just like, hopefully everyone thinks that way. But during the premiere, I think I may have been like pacing the back of it,
Mm.
just because I was like, I don't know how people are gonna react to this.
Were you happy with the response? I mean,
Yes,
I was there. People were laughing.
yes, they were. Which I was, I mean, as it went on, I got like a bit more like relaxed. But that first, few minutes, I was like, oh, please, just
Let this be over.
well, not like let it be over, but just like I mean, I guess like more or less like it's like, well, this is gonna be the test if like if like Becca and Anthony and myself did what we sought out to do,
Mm.
and I was definitely uh happy and um just proud of how the audience like you know how they like took to it very well, and and even like more proud of the fact that everybody who worked on the set enjoyed the experience and wants to like come back, which hey, love to have them all back, absolutely.
For sure.
um and just the whole process was just like it was fun for us to write. It was fun for us to make it, and glad that the audience had fun watching it.
Do you have plans for it beyond Summerdance? I mean, are you going to hit the festival circuit or?
We are, and I'm gonna probably try to make the second episode pretty soon.
Oh, so I mean, okay, that's good to know. So
Yeah.
I let me rephrase. So I didn't realize that you were going to go beyond just the, I guess I would have called it a pilot episode. So is the
Mm.
idea to kind of, not just make 1 or 2, but are you trying to do like a full season, like, kind of
Um,
get a pilot season going?
a Take Two is a TV series, and hopefully we'll make one more episode.
Hmm.
But definitely hit up the festivals, and also make a pitch deck and see who would want to invest in it, and who would want to hopefully pick it up on one of their networks.
For sure. So if you don't mind me asking, I mean, directorial debut,
Hmm.
what are some learning lessons that you accumulated on your time with Take Two? Things that you didn't expect, or things that you would do differently, or things that, you were like, oh shit, like I was on the money with that one. I want to keep moving forward with that. Anything that you can share with the audience who might either be new to this or looking for some life lessons as they move forward in their careers?
Well, if you're looking for life lessons in terms of directing, I suggest they, go somewhere else with it. But,
How
um,
so? What do you mean?
well, just because I just did this like one thing once.
Do you intend to continue? I mean,
I mean,
other than Take Two?
I mean, I mean, I'd like to direct the second one, but but if there's like a talented like comedy director who wants to give it a shot, I'll have no problem like
Hmm.
saying, hey, here you go, this episode is yours.
Hmm.
But I'd say probably the biggest thing I'll tell anyone who wants to be a director um is just if is that there is a way to get what you want out of people, but the way to do it is to give just clear directions about what you want. Like, don't make up words. Don't try to sound all suave and cool or anything. Just look, if you want an actor to move to their spot faster, tell them move to your mark faster.
Hmm.
All right, like because like a lot of because a lot of actors I've learned, if you give them just like direct non-confusing, straight up, very good communication about what you want them to do, a lot of actors will do it.
Hmm.
Because a lot of them understand it. It's not a personal thing on them. It's just, oh, I have to move to this mark faster, or oh, I enunciate this word as opposed to that one, or oh, I pronounce this word a certain way. And if you're just like if you're just clear about what you want direction wise, then then the actors know what you want. The DP knows what you want, and everything just runs smoother. It's when you try making up words or do the same take 9 or 10 times, I think everyone just gets annoyed by it.
Mm.
Which I mean, but um, but I mean, but I guess I also got a cool lesson from being on Hocus Pocus 2. The camera crew worked a lot with like Clint Eastwood, so they would tell me a lot of cool Clint Eastwood stories.
The camera crew on Hocus Pocus worked a lot with Clint Eastwood.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and they had a lot of cool like Clint Eastwood stories, which I was like, that's how you direct.
Yeah.
Like, all right, love it.
I've heard that Clint Eastwood is the absolute gentleman too.
Absolute gentleman, and there's a reason why people love working and doing films with him, because everyone knows what he wants on that set.
Mm.
I mean, everyone.
Mm. So after take two, after the next episode of take two, so I guess what I'm getting at is like, you've had this experience being a first time director. I mean, quite simply, did you enjoy it? Is this something that you would want to pursue?
Did very much enjoy directing, and I would love to do it again for like a variety of other like projects. I mean, obviously, if Take Two has a lot more episodes and seasons in it, I'll love to ride out that as much as I can. But obviously, I like to try out one or two other styles and genres and see if that fits. But no, I thoroughly did enjoy directing, and I hope I can do it again. At some point soon. And if I end up making a like Razzie Award winner, then well, you'll see me in a tux and a limo.
Pulling
roll
up to the Razzies.
Yeah, and I will fully embrace it, and thank people for not doing various things that they should, and of course, at the very end, say I like to thank myself for being horrible at this job. I completely butchered this movie.
Well, if Take Two is any indication, I mean, I feel like you've got a talent. I would be interested to see you kind of pursue, another project, or at least, continuing to get your feet wet with it, because clearly you got a team behind you that believes in you, and I think the end product kind of speaks for itself. What gets you excited these days by way of the movies? Are you seeing movies in the theater? Are you watching stuff on Netflix or Prime? What's getting you excited?
Watched a lot of stuff on, obviously all the streaming. I still go to I still go to movies and all that, but I'm actually researching for the next thing that I'm writing, which is a feature film. And
there we go. Let's hear about that. I want to know more. Somebody brings up feature film, and you got my attention. What are you working on?
I won't divulge too much into it right now. I'll just say that
as much as you can.
I'll just say this: I got the preliminary book rights for it, and I'm working on writing it, and I'm very much it's very much something that I am I was a huge fan of for years growing up, and it's going to be, hopefully a lot of fun to see what comes of this.
So it sounds like you either can't or are unwilling to talk about what the story is in specifics.
I can't.
Okay, fair enough. If you don't mind me asking, though, because this is something that I've been curious about for a long time, what was the process like of getting the rights to the book?
You just find the publishing house, email them, and go back and forth on that way. I mean, a lot of publishing houses and writers are willing to work with you on it. Although I say like preliminary, because like they gave me permission to write the story, but I still have to get I still have to get like the full rights from them later, but they said like as
do they want to see like a draft of the script before they kind of approve anything, or
I think a draft, but they also like want to see some like larger names attached to it if possible. But no, that's the bigger thing that I'm that's like one thing I'm working on, obviously. But
that's exciting though. That's not just like you can't just poo that. That's a big process, man.
Oh no, this is.
Are you working on it alone, or are you working with anybody else on it?
As of now, it's alone, but I have a few people in mind that I want to bring into the fold once it's ready.
Can you give me a genre? Is that still too much?
It's a little too much. Not gonna.
Fair enough. We can't touch it.
Not gonna divulge too much into it because I also want to, be able to come back on the show and tell you about it.
We'd love to have you back on the show to
There we
talk
go.
all about it.
Yeah.
How far into the process are you?
I've done all the research and I'm about halfway through Act 1.
Okay.
And just to go back a little bit, but actually this was on the second day of filming, actually.
For take two.
Yeah, for take two. Or actually no, but at some point though, during filming, all of the actors and a lot all the crew on point were just just I think they either could tell I was nervous or could sense it in me maybe, but a lot of them did come in at some point and say, "Hey, you got this," and it meant a lot because because like a few of those people I was just like you're like way more accomplished in your field than I am in mine, but no, but I mean I thoroughly did mean a lot that it started with Becca and Anthony believing me enough to bring me into it. Then of course all the various crew members, actors and actresses who believed in the story and believed in the characters that they're playing and just the whole process in general. Because I mean it really is like a giant a puzzle piece, take two, and everything just kind of fit very nicely into it.
Well, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it's Take Two is going through the festival circuit. So, it's probably not available for widespread viewing. Or is it?
Well, I want to talk to you about that. How do you, if I was to do widespread viewing for it, or if, we were, how would you go about it? Would you just put it on on YouTube and say, hey, watch it this way?
So in my experience, it's a little tricky depending on what festivals you want to go to, because I know that some festivals have, what would you call it? Restrictions about, where it's available. Some festivals will say, we want, if it's going to be filmed here, we want first premiere rights to it. It can't be available on YouTube or Vimeo or anything like that. So, for example, our short film that we did, 4 Pins, we made a private YouTube and Vimeo link so that if anybody wanted to message us directly or we wanted to share it with the cast and crew, you guys got access to it, and it still kind of was within, it was within the rules of the festivals that we submitted to. But some festivals don't care. So I think that, it's important to do the research on where you want to submit it and what their rules are. So depending on where you have your eyes set to submit it, it might be not a conflict of interest. So I would just recommend, doing your research. But YouTube, Vimeo, those are great places where, people can start to see what you've done, or if you have a personal website, that's a great place where you can, have it hosted, and people can now, I mean, I always think of James Cameron when I think of moments like this where he's like, listen, get a camera, get a crew, get a cast, write a script, make something, put your name on it. Now you're a director. It's as simple as that. So
it really is, isn't it?
You've done the first hard step, man, and you should get it out to as many people as you can, because it's really a nice piece of work. And I think that that'll be the first step if you want to continue pursuing directing. Now you've done it. You have your name on something as director.
Yeah, I do. And and if we do make a a season out of this, then I'm sure I'm sure Anthony would want to direct a few episodes, and I'm sure Becca would want to direct a few episodes. So and I'm sure that they'll do a phenomenal job when they do direct a few episodes of it.
Hell yeah. Well, listen, Mark, I've really enjoyed talking to you. I'm really happy that you came on the podcast. If anybody wants to reach out to you, or, if they want to, direct message you for a link to the project, where can they find you online?
Well, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and not sure what wait, we're going to edit this, right?
Yeah.
The links are here.
There you go.
Yeah, and like if someone wants to if somebody wants to watch it, then by all means, I don't care who wants to watch it. By all means, hey, do it up. It's been it's been copyrighted, so
There you
go
go.
ahead, watch away, have fun with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. Appreciate your time. Any closing remarks that you'd like to leave on? Pressure.
No,
This is where we cue up the spotlight.
Of course it is. Well, guess I guess I want to say just a big thank you to Anthony and Becca for believing me enough to bring me into this project, and thank you for everyone who was in the cast and crew who had fun working, and also brought their talented A game. And also just want to give a special shout out to Gabby Roslin, who is still one of the best directors I have ever seen. And I'm including all the big union projects that I've been on. I thoroughly believe that Gabby's just that good.
Hell yeah. Well, having gotten to see her work and talk to her myself, I can concur, and I look forward to seeing what her and you continue to do.
Well, we've collaborated a few times on things, but it's been mostly her directing it, because she's a way better director than I could ever hope to be. Like Gabby has forgotten more about filmmaking than I have learned. But I did,
You're still early in your career.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just but the projects that Gabby does, though, she just does so well. Like in Il Monstro, right?
Yeah.
That opening shot.
It's awesome.
Come on.
It's awesome.
Like I actually got mad when she showed me it, because I was like, I will never do a shot like that.
You're cutting yourself short, man.
No,
give it time.
But that was so good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding. That's just beautiful.
For anybody listening, you got to check out Le Monstro. You got to check out Mark's work, Take Two. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Meahger, thanks for being on.
Thank you very much for having me. And
awesome.
As soon as the cameras turn off, I'll tell you more about that project I can't really talk more about.
Well, this is the first time I've said this on the podcast. I can't wait to turn off the cameras.
I know.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.